Conover. I'm a junior political science and creative writing double major. I'm the current chair of grants and sponsorships on the Student Senate, and I also serve on the rules ad hoc committee that looked at our standing rules, the FAC Constitution, and the Student Government Constitution this past year. So our platform, Conover Holstrom, really hinges on 5 things. I'll cover 3 of them, and Zach will cover 2 of them later. So the first being is the Code of Conduct. So right now in the Code of Conduct, organizations and individuals are very, very close. So that is, if an individual gets in trouble, the organization is generally automatically implicated. So we want to make sure there's more separation there so organizations are protected from individuals in the organization. So if an individual makes a mistake, that organization is not automatically liable. Our second platform item is Holiday on Campus. So this would happen in mid-December. We'd invite low-income children from local elementary schools and middle schools out to campus. They'd be paired or buddied up with someone from Truman who's volunteered and wants to give their time, earn service hours, or just have a good holiday-filled day. They'd go through random rooms within one of the buildings that's hosted by a service organization or by any organization on campus that wants to contribute. They'd get to decorate their own rooms, and the kids would have a really great time. It would be an opportunity to give low-income families and children an opportunity to have a holiday that they wouldn't normally have. So our third platform item is working really well with FAC. As I said, I was on the Rules Committee this past semester, and right now we're pushing through FAC constitutional changes. I went through Jordan Duker and Taylor Scholes to get these done, and they proposed those to me, and I pushed them through the committee. And so we're really making sure that we're supportive of FAC, making sure they can be both efficient and effective in what they do, so that they can give students the most amount of money, and that those students can use that money the most effectively and affect the most people on campus. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The second candidate that we will hear is presidential candidate Molly Turner.
All right, so hi, thank you guys for coming out. My name is Molly Turner, and I'm running for president of student government. I'm currently the vice president, and I was sworn into student government my freshman year, and I will be a senior next year. I am definitely your best candidate, and I hope I can sell you that tonight with my debate, because I believe it. I believe that JJ and I have a great team, and I know what we can do for this university by what I've already done for this university. First of all, I came on to student government I was sworn in my sophomore year, or my freshman year, and I was immediately put into the Environmental Affairs Committee chair. I started glass recycling practically by myself as a sophomore on campus. So I'm very proud of that because it took a lot of work, and it was a really hard thing for me to do, especially my first year on student government, even though I had kind of worked on it that fall semester, the previous spring semester. So I also started Bear Creek with August Kirsten and Tri Beta, and that was something that was really awesome. What I want you guys to take away from me is that my work is completed well and efficiently because I am passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm passionate to be here. I was passionate about the environmental affairs then, and that's why I did great things. I helped write the sustainability fee this year. That was originally one of my ideas along with my committee last year. And so I'm very proud of that, and I really hope that passes this year. This year as vice president, I feel like I've done a great job. I've had a really hard time kind of overseeing committees in a way that I don't overstep my own authority as a vice president. My job is to oversee the committees, not be on the committee. I have done everything I can to encourage these committees to be as productive and as efficient as possible, and that doesn't always work as well. So that's kind of been a struggle. But after this experience, I know what it takes as president to fix this. I know what to do, and I think JJ would make a great overseer because he's extremely relatable, and we can work over the things that didn't work for me this year. Basically, on top of that, our overall platform is campus unity. What I did these past 2 years, when you look at the glass recycling, by getting all these organizations together to accomplish something great that everyone is passionate about, that's what I want to do as the president. I want to take each individual thing that I care about that is on our platform, which, by the way, we have over 20. Please check out our website, mollyjj2015.com, to get further on that. But I want to make this happen. Every single person is passionate about something on this campus. And we have to unite ourselves to be able to accomplish great things. People need student government, and we want to be there. So please vote Molly JJ. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. And finally, we'll hear from our presidential candidate, Clayton Berry.
Hello everyone, my name is Clayton Berry and I'm a Bachelor of Science in Economics and I'm also a minor in Communication. I really feel very passionate about several issues that I've noticed on campus this past year as being the Academic Affairs Chair of Student Government. I've had the honor of sitting in on Faculty Senate meetings, undergraduate council meetings, and being a representative for the Higher Learning Commission leadership team that has recredited our university this year. So I feel like I've been working very closely with several top-notch university officials from all over the campus to make sure that there's effective academic, social, and service change in our university. I've also helped delegate members from student government into President Pano's action teams, which look at university-wide reform on all sorts of issues, especially fiscal health, and once again, academic policy. So what I really want to do, if I were to be elected as student government president, is to give every student all across the campus a voice. Because from what I've noticed, not a lot of people really know what's going on in student government until one big resolution comes up and then it kind of settles down again. But we want to be able to bring students from all corners of campus into our committees, and that's why we work closely with the Multicultural Affairs Center and Tri Beta, as Molly brought up earlier, and several other of the academic and honors fraternities on campus to make sure that they would have a voice in student government next year. We also have very big ticket platform ideas such as reforming the academic forgiveness and withdrawal policy, where if students have an emergency and they need to drop out of their classes and support their family financially, instead of having to wait till the end of the semester, they can get approved to withdraw from classes earlier. That's one of our goals. We also want to make it so that there is a academic badging policy where, let's say you are a major in humanities. We want you to be able to study the major of your choice, finding your passion, without having to worry as much about getting a job after school, because we want to give you certifications for real-world applicable skill sets without having to get a major, an extra major or minor to supplement that, such as computer literacy, etc. So that's some of the big things that we have, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Now that we've heard from our presidential candidates, we will hear from each of our vice president candidates going in the same order. We will begin with Zach Holstrom.
So hello everybody, my name is Zach Holstrom. I am currently an English major here. I am also a pre-MAE special education track. I am currently the diversity committee chair for student government this year. So like Parker said, we think it's very important to have a very clear and concise agenda and policies that we think we want to implement next year, so you can have a reasonable expectation of what to expect from us if we get elected into office. So the other two things of our items on our platform that Parker didn't mention, the first of which is university-sponsored activities absence policy. So currently on our campus, as it stands, if you miss class for a university-sponsored activity, say you're a varsity athlete, or say that you play in the university symphony, and the university sends you somewhere to represent them, and you have to miss class for that, as it stands right now, professors don't have to give you an excused absence for that, and oftentimes they don't, and they count it as an unexcused absence. We believe that it's important that if you are being sent to represent the university, that you should be allowed to miss class, and you should get an excused absence for that. So that's an important part of our platform. The other thing that is really close to my heart and important to me is open housing. This is something that I've worked really hard on this year, and it's been my biggest project as the diversity committee chair. So I've worked closely with President Pano, with the director of Residence Life, John Gardner, and my diversity committee, and we also presented to the Board of Governors this year, which is something that I'm the only committee chair that did this year. And so what we want to do is we want to have this open housing policy so everybody can have a comfortable living situation on Truman's campus, and this would seek to primarily support the LGBTQ community. So those are the other two more important aspects of our platform that I wanted you to know about.
All right, we'll now hear from Gigi Durrell.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out. I know it's 8 o'clock on a Monday night, Tuesday night, whatever night it is. So I know you guys have a lot of work, but I'm glad to see you guys are passionate about student government. I'm a junior here at Truman State University, exercise science major, on the wrestling team, a student advisor, just very involved. I was the chair of student affairs this year for student government. I was also on the athletic accountability fee committee, so we oversaw where that money went. So pretty much me and Molly our main platform, like you talked about, is unity. We're not in this for the title. I am the most experienced person up here. I've been in student government for 6 consecutive semesters. No one else can say that. So me and her both felt it was our time to step up into this position, and that is why we're here. And so for the unity, we, like Molly said, we really just want to unite Truman State's campus as a whole. And I mean, through different organizations, we have 250 on campus, so it's one of those things is really looking into how we can utilize every organization effectively. And so as vice president, if be elected, I would look over all of the committees, and I think because of our platform, it is very long, but because of that, I would do a lot of the work to the committees. We would really choose good chairs, and we would really get a lot passed, and not just 5 or 4 issues. Me and Molly are very passionate about this university, and we love Truman, so that's pretty much it.
All right, last but not least, we'll hear from Vice Presidential Candidate Marissa Tuck.
Hey everyone, I'm not going to use a microphone because I don't really like microphones at all. I am a freshman initially from Chicago. I am a Spanish major with minors in political science and psychology. This year I entered Truman and kind of joined Student Senate right away because I thought it was something where I could actually make a change and make a difference. I was assigned to Clayton's Committee, Academic Affairs. Later on, I was appointed Speaker Pro Tem, which is technically right below where Jake is right now, so whenever he's absent, I step in his place. And then I also was one of 3 senators selected for the Rules Ad Hoc Committee, where, as Parker described earlier, we revise our own Constitution and Standing Rules, in addition to the FAC's Constitution and Standing Rules. So where Clayton mentioned a few issues we want to address next year, I want to talk a little bit about things we want to continue working on this upcoming year. For example, the current secretary, Kayla Gunter, she's done amazing work this past year with also Senator Jesse Poole working on the Sexual Assault Ad Hoc Committee. This committee has been so fantastic at promoting awareness on our campus and helping to get the rates down. This is something we want to see continue on our campus next year and hope to see their good work continue. In addition to that, we also want to watch over the environmental sustainability fee. As we know, there's been a few issues with the athletic fee that's going on, and so we want to make sure that the environmental sustainability fee gets off the ground running and doesn't incur the same problems. Furthermore, we want to also work on open housing. As Zach worked on earlier this year and did a fantastic job with it, we want to make sure that his efforts don't just stop at the Board of Governors saying no. We want to continue pursuing this problem. Additionally, we have a few questions of our own that we brought up this year that we need to keep working on. I was assigned to one of President Peno's action plan committees, the one redefining liberal arts and sciences. This is a question Clayton has been working on the entire year, and it's something that we're reaching much debate over, largely because if we don't redefine it quickly, we won't reach a solution. Really, at the end of the day, though, it doesn't really matter our platform ideas too terribly much. What matters is that we have these ideas in Student Senate. Truly, though, what it comes down to is that you have a leader you feel comfortable in that can reach these questions and bring them and appoint the correct people to work on them with them. And I think Clayton and I are those correct people, and we know these other candidates sitting by our sides are the correct people to work with us on these issues. Thank you.
All right. Now that we've heard from all of our candidates, we will now move into a time of question and answer and then rebuttal. I will, just as a kind of a warning to the audience, I do use the gavel to alert the candidates of time. The gentle rappings just lets them know that they have 30 seconds left. Probably should have told you at the beginning, just so you don't get freaked out. If they run out of time, you will know. I will hit it harder. But the slide tap just means they have 30 seconds left. So just so you know, they're not going over time if they keep talking past my slide raps. Okay, so it was decided on in the rules of this debate that the same ticket that was chosen to speak first will take the first question. After that, it is completely randomized on who will get what question. So we will be starting with presidential candidate Parker Conover. Parker, in your platform, you describe a goal of, quote, fighting for changes to the conduct code to better protect organizations, end quote. What does this goal mean, and who is it intended to protect? What was the inspiration for this goal?
Yeah, so right now, as I stated earlier, individuals aren't really protected from organizations, and organizations aren't really protected from individuals. So a lot of times, individuals are part of organizations, whether they be Greek, whether they just be other organizations on campus. And so individuals outside of those organizations can often make mistakes, and they get in trouble with university, they can get in trouble legally. Right now, organizations are generally automatically implicated in individuals' mistakes. So let's say you're a Tri Sigma and you get into trouble, not at a Tri Sigma event, then Tri Sigma is often automatically implicated and they're automatically investigated. And those steps kind of happen just automatically. We want to make sure that organizations are protected so that when individuals make mistakes, they aren't just automatically implicated. because often individuals make mistakes outside of those organizations, they aren't representative of organizations.
Molly, what is your response?
Well, I mean, I would agree with that. I think there's a lot that needs to be looking done here, and I would hope that Parker, in putting this in his and Zach's platform, hasn't been premature about it, and has done the necessary research to make sure this is something that can change. I know things like this can get a little sticky, and you need to make sure that we can check with the actual laws to make sure that it's, specifics here. But I think this is a great idea, and if this is something that needs to get done, JJ and I have talked about putting a Greek life position on JJ and I have talked about getting a Greek life position on student government to find out specifically about these issues and take necessary steps to do that. So while I think this is an important issue, and if it's a problem, we need to address it, I think the larger problem is that student government hasn't already. And what that means is we need that voice on student government directly voted on by the Greek life as a liaison, and not just regular people on student government.
Thank you. Clayton?
Am I actually allowed to speak?
Yes, yeah, that's okay.
Awesome. So ironically enough, Clayton and I have actually been talking about a Greek Life Associate Senate position. But additionally to that, I've also been in talks with the IFC representatives. One of my best friends, actually, his biggest head of IFC, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, so one of the big problems that I've been understanding is that we've been having a lot of problems, but not bringing key representatives into the conversation. For example, we have very few IFC representatives actually on Student Senate. So I believe one thing we really need to do in addressing these problems is get these people to the talks and let them have their influence. I know one hesitation that people from Greek Life tend to have with working with Student Senate is that they think we're not terribly effective, and also that we work with administrators that are seen as, well, not really going for their policies. And for this reason, we just need to sit down with them, explain to them this is how we have to get it done. In order to do that, we need to promote Greek Life actually cooperating with Student Senate, getting these associate senate positions, and encouraging them to join committees such as the Sexual Assault Ad Hoc Committee. And then when it comes down to policy change, that's where we can actually get done. We have all the key people represented in these changes that maybe need to be taken.
All right, thank you. Next question, we'll go to JJ. In your platform, you mentioned the creation of residence and Greek life positions on the Student Senate. How do you plan to assign these positions?
Yes. As of how I know how the Constitution works, we can amend to put those in. And that would mainly be, what we would do. I think this is a long time coming. Residence life is huge on this campus. Over 2,500 people live in dorms on this campus. And to have a voice for those people would be outstanding. I'm a student advisor, so I think this is definitely a chair that needs to be here, along with Greek. Over, I think, 25% of this campus is Greek. So it's one of those things that we need a Greek chair as well. I'm going to yield my time to Molly if she has anything else to say.
And I'll just say really quick why it's important that we have positions specifically to liaison this is because what we need on student government is more delegation. So we need to have a Greek member, one specifically, that we can address these concerns to and assign to do research. The same goes for residence life. JJ and I are both live on the dorms. And I think it's still important that we have a residence life person to designate residence life issues to be the sole purpose of, or the sole looker-upper, I guess, of these things. It's really important that there's focus in this because that's really the only way we can accomplish things. And so that's why JJ and I have decided to take this step. Thank you.
Clayton, response.
Yes, I think I agree with the candidates that we should have different spots on student government, but also, as I stressed earlier, when we want all students to have a equal voice on campus, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to give them just spots. I think the most important thing is, as student government leaders, is to go out to those groups and have a bridge and frequent a communication line with them. So we can reach out to organizations that are already present, such as the Residence Hall Association, and have someone attend those meetings. And of course, we need to encourage other students across the university to attend student government, as they are allowed to anytime they please. And even the committees, they are allowed to attend anytime they please. So it's not just representatives, but we want to encourage all students to come in and have a voice, no matter if they're a representative or not. And I'll yield the rest of my time to Clarissa.
Yeah, when it comes to actually getting representatives on our body, that's kind of where I'm a specialist working on the Constitution this past year. Actually, what Clayton and I want to do is something that takes less time than just doing a constitutional change. We actually want to have these groups petition to have senators sit with us as associate senators. That way they already have voices at the beginning of the year. Because Constitution changes, as we all know, took a semester for us to do. So we want these representatives right away at the beginning of the year as associate senators, then make their positions permanent as the year goes on and we're allowed to do these changes. Make sure their voices are heard from day one and not just have to wait for constitutional changes, which take forever.
Barbara and Zach?
I'm actually, we're actually opposed to having a Greek senator or senators represented from different organizations. The diversity in who's being represented on Student Senate is already adequate, as we have many Greek senators and we have senators representing many different constituencies. However, if that was something that wanted to be changed for this upcoming year, then the Rules Committee actually looked at that this year, and we talked about it and decided not to do that. So it's just a little bit confusing to me to see these propositions coming now during elections and not when the committee was meeting, which both Clarissa, Clayton, and I were on, and Molly was the chair of.
Yeah, and to echo what Clayton said, I couldn't agree more that the most important part of this is to have an open line of communication and to really reach out to those organizations and to have them involved, like have them run for senators and voting senators and associate senators, which are positions we already have, and we have Greek life adequately represented, just like we do all other organizations on campus adequately represented in the Student Senate. That's why we have these positions for people to run for, and so we have these elections because we end up with an equal, evenly distributed representation of all different groups on campus already.
All right, thank you. Next question will go to Clayton. Clayton, how would you ensure that members of minority communities, such as LGBTQ or international students, have a voice and representation in student government?
Thank you very much, Jake. That's a great question. First of all, we reached out to Emmanuel Camarillo, who is the head of the Multicultural Affairs Center. We've sat down and we've talked with him several times, and he wants to make sure that groups such as Hispanic students will have a better representation on campus. So what I've done is I've actually attended some of the meetings in the Multicultural Affairs Center, and I've been involved with their service activities, as I was the only senator this entire year to be involved with their Martin Luther King Challenge Day. So I have been active in those groups, and not just communicating, but being active. And so I would really like to have more students in diversity groups, and different groups such as the LGBTQ community, the MAC community, be representatives on our diversity committee, or at least be open to attending those diversity committee meetings. Because as of now, there's only about 2 members of our diversity committee, which isn't really a fair representation of the entire student body. So we have a very diverse student body, so why do we only have 2 members in it? We want to reach out and include as many people as possible, whether they're members or not, but we still like them to attend those meetings.
Kind of going off that, another idea we discussed with the head of the MAC, Emmanuel Camarillo, is stressing to our diversity committee that they need to attend the meetings of other organizations. So this is something we hope to do with our diversity chair next year, tell him or her that is, that you really need to go to these meetings, look at the groups you are representing, and actually work with them. Another thing that actually really excites me is to see so many names of senators on the ballot that are from the LGBTQA community. And that's really awesome to see that we have more members participating and trying to run. And so something I hope to do in this next year is promote that Senate is a place where their views will be heard this year and where they will be accepted and tolerated.
Molly and JJ, your response.
Yeah, I guess I would first say that diversity is a huge deal to me, especially international students on our campus. And I think right now and this past year, we have not done a good enough job to make that a priority. We've taken steps, but steps aren't enough. We need to jump in full head first and make changes that help international students and just diversity in general. I really think what needs to happen here to have more international students represented is that we need, like I said, unity. Unity through opportunity. We really need to make sure that we're reaching out to these organizations. When we put on Diversity Week, we need to make sure everyone knows about it. And we shouldn't plan it. We should be coordinating it, because that's what student government does. Student government is supposed to be the hand that helps others. And we have not done that well in the past. And that's why JJ and I's platform is unity. We want to make sure that these students are represented, and we want to find a way to fix the problems they bring to us, which I would say is why, the great thing about campaign season is that your platform is developed by going to organizations and talking to them, which is why as the chair of the committee that Parker just stated, I didn't make these changes because they weren't an issue until the students brought them to me. So.
Thank you. Parker, Zach.
So I am currently the chair of the diversity committee for student government. And to clarify what Clayton said, we actually did have 4 members on the committee last year. One of them is studying abroad currently, and the other one resigned due to time constraints, which is why we now have 2. I would also like to say that I've worked closely with ISAO, the International Student Affairs Office. I've also worked closely with PRISM throughout the entire year. Like I said, we've worked together a lot with PRISM. I have been to the organizations probably at least 4 or 5 times this entire year. And we filled the room at the Board of Governors, actually, which is the first time that that's happened in recent memory. Because they were so behind the policy that we were advocating for, and we had worked so closely with them and built such a good relationship that they came out and supported us, and we supported them, and we worked mutually together to achieve what we had been striving for the entire year. So yeah, I think that like all the candidates have said that we should strive to seek out these. We should really support diversity on our campus and all the different international students, LGBTQ issues, all these different things. They are all equally important, and the issues that we focused on this year were the ones that were most attainable and most achievable, and so those are the ones we focused on and accomplished this year.
Thank you. The next question will go to Molly. Molly, your platform includes evaluating Sodexo. How do you plan to review Sodexo more than the university already does?
I don't plan to evaluate more, so that's not correct. I would say what needs to happen is that there needs to be a student voice in when the administration does evaluate Sodexo. So when I say evaluate Sodexo, of course, as I am saying evaluate Sodexo as look at what the students have today to say about Sodexo and report on that, because that's our job in student government. As far as beyond that, there's not a lot we can do anyway. Student government has a loud voice, and our voice is louder than us making actions. And that's the way things work with the administration. But we would plan to work extremely close with the administration and make sure that students are on the committee. I assigned a student to do that this year, to already look into Sodexo. And so we're already taking strides to this, but I think that they're living in the dorms for the past 3 years. Sodexo does need to be evaluated, and the student voice does need to be heard. So we want to find a way to evaluate that within the students first. That's the first step, and that's the most important step. From there, like I said, I would be reporting to administration and seeing what student government can possibly do to even evaluate Sodexo anyway.
Also, the food contract is up next year with Sodexo, so that means we don't have to keep Sodexo if we don't want them. So a good idea, as president, you can send emails to the student body, taking out a survey, seeing what Truman students feel. We're the voice of the people, and give them that voice. So if that, next year's a big critical year for that, reevaluating the contract with them and seeing if we want to keep them or not.
Thank you. Parker and Zach, your response.
Yeah, so this is not an item that's on our platform because, as they mentioned, it's been pushed back a few years, and as Molly just said to you all, there's really not that much that student government can do about it. And it's not really something that can be evaluated that much in the coming year. Sure, we can take student opinion into account, and we can kind of pull on it, and we can get student opinion for the future, but in the coming academic year, there's not really as much that can be done about it. So it's not something we include in our platform because it's really not a realistic thing, so I really don't have much else to say about that.
Clayton Larson.
I would have to respectfully disagree with Zach on that. I believe that, and this originated with Clarissa and I, because the student that Molly sent to review that Sodexo policy, he was included as one of our campaign managers who discussed the idea with us. And I actually spoke with one of the representatives on one of the Sodexo review boards. I apologize, the Sodexo review board, where they review it annually, and he was the one that brought the idea with me. So I do think that there could be a student such as a senior economics major, or just a student who is knowledgeable about how policy is done, to be able to sit on that review board and make changes, because we're the ones that eat their food, so we should have at least one person on that group who can advocate for the 8,000, 6,000 students at our school.
Thank you. The next question will go to Clarissa. Clarissa, would your administration privilege academic matters over extracurricular ones, such as sports or Greek issues?
Absolutely not. Clayton and I do have a great background in academic affairs. As you know, we're both from the Academic Affairs Committee. But what a lot of you guys may not know is that I have a huge background in extracurricular activities. Both Clayton and I work for Truman Media Network. I'm a member of Circle K International, which is a philanthropy group. And I'm also a competitor on speech and debate. I actually qualified for Novice Nationals this year. So if you kind of lost track there, I'm in a philanthropy group, I'm in a media group, and I'm also in a competitive organization. So by no means will academic policies be favored than other policies. We believe that extracurriculars are just as important to students, as I know I often skip doing homework sometimes to go to these meetings and whatnot. But still, what Clayton and I mainly have in our platform are academic issues, as what next year has to tackle are largely academic things. For example, earlier I talked about LAS, Liberal Arts and Sciences, that has to be redone as soon as possible. That's why I'm on a committee currently redoing it. Because if we don't address these academic issues right away, then we're not going to have a university in a few years. If you guys listen to President Payne's State of the University address, I believe it was in about 5 years, we're going to be in massive debt. And largely it's going to be due to the students not coming to our university because of failing academic policies. Do you want to add on anything?
That's really what we've been, and I will mention that we have been meeting regularly with the Vice President of Academic Affairs / Provost, Dr. Thomas, and we have been meeting with President Pano to make sure that these are real changes that we can actually make in this upcoming year. And these aren't just ideas, these are real things that we can do. So, and with our experiences with the action teams, that's, I feel like we know we can make a big change across the entire university and not just academic policy.
Molly and JJ, your response.
Yeah, equality throughout campus is a huge, huge, huge part of our platform. JJ and I actually together, I'll go ahead and read you this title of this resolution that has already been written and edited and is waiting to be distributed. A resolution for academic exemption from university-sponsored events, sponsored by Student Affairs Committee, Jeremy Durrell, Chair Rachel Palmer, Kyra Cooper, Molly Turner. This is something that was on our other candidate, Parker and Zach's platform in some manner or form, but they're actually not on this resolution. And I think JJ will talk more about it.
Yes, pretty much we will be equal with academics and extracurriculars because in my opinion you aren't a good student unless you're involved in other things around campus. Of course you can pull a 4.0, but to be a well-rounded student you need to be involved in other things. We would take into account both extracurriculars and academic policies.
Parker and Zach.
Still working more microphone. Balance between academics and really every other aspect of the student's life is really important. And I have to commend Clayton and Clarissa on their academic policy and what they've done this past year. The committee's been fantastic this year. They've been really focused and tackled the issues that they set out to do. And that's really, really important. That's one really, really important aspect to an entire campaign and to an entire platform. Like I said, we have a very, very clear platform and things that we want to get done. And I think that there are things that we can get done. But there are always good things that are going to come up throughout the year that we can also co-opt and that we can send to committees and that we can do. So it's really important to balance both academics and extracurriculars.
Thank you. Next question will go to Zach. Zach, do you consider doing what is best for students to be more important than all else, especially more than keeping the political atmosphere amicable? Agreeable.
Okay, yes.
Friendly.
I knew what the word meant, but, but thank you for that clarification. So I think that we, as student representatives, so we have a responsibility and there's a balance to be had. So the responsibility of us, so say a big issue that came up this year was plus-minus grading. And there were some people on the body that were in favor of it and some weren't. But we all knew that when we polled on this, students said 90% were in favor against plus-minus grading. So as student senators, we have responsibility when we have that kind of overwhelming support, or I guess in this situation, against an issue, to vote alongside the public opinion of the student body. But when we have issues that are close and that are contentious, and that when you are in the office and you have to make a decision, that you have to, that's when we're elected to really do what we think is right. And like I guess you said, what was the word? Amicable, I believe. Yeah, amicable. That's right. So I think that there is some value in you want to have goodwill amongst your senators, but when you know what's right and you want to come out and fight for what's right and what you believe in, I think that's more important, I would argue, than necessarily maintaining, I guess, the peace at the table at all times. You can always make up afterwards, and it's more important to stand for what's right.
Clayton, where's your response?
I guess I'll go ahead. So the exact question was, do you believe it's more important to have a nice political environment or do what's best for the student body? And at the end of the day, I think you'll find no one more than Clayton and I who will say we need to do what's best for the student body. I think it's super awesome that we have so many people from the college Democrats and college Republicans that sit at our table with us, and it's actually kind of awesome to sit there and watch them debate things about their own personal issues. But at the end of the day, sometimes we have senators who will believe strongly in one way that contradicts the student opinion in whole. And it's issues like that we need to actually sit down, talk to them and say, hey, this isn't a political environment. Yes, we're here as senators representing people, but we need to actually represent them and not our own views when it comes down to this. Even tonight you hear people say things in their own political opinions and talking things just to earn their own points. Like, for example, earlier Molly said that she was the chair of the Rules Committee. She is, but she never attended a meeting, so she'd never be able to actually make changes she was talking about. So when it comes down to these things, saying things of that nature, when it comes down to putting things in that aspect, but with a political twist, that's when we don't actually need those things on the body. That's when we need senators to sit down and say, I'm going to do what's best for the students. And that's what I think Clayton and I represent.
Molly, agree.
Yeah, I think a good environment is really important. Believe it or not, I was, although my political views have changed, as a freshman I was very outspoken to one political side, and I was actually dating the president of the political group of the other side. So I think this is really important, and I think what's cool about student government is that that's where you meet people like this. You meet people that care about politics, that are all sitting at the same table. And that's kind of why JJ and I's platform has changed as we have gone and talked to different students, because we think it's really important to listen to the students. I mean, that's our job. And it's important to figure out what's important and then delegate it, which is specifically why we didn't assign a chair to this committee. And my role is I am the chair of each committee that we don't assign one to, because we had instilled our trust in Parker and Clarissa to do well on that committee as they have done, and I think they deserve to be recognized for that. So I think that it's very important to get good political environment.
All right, thank you. The next question will go to Clayton. You have many reasons why you are qualified in your platform. What new ideas for the university do you plan to implement if elected?
Well, thank you, Jake. As I stated earlier, some of the big platform ideas, as I said, with the academic withdrawal policy, I wanted to explain that a little more. As of now, when students, let's say if you have a physical or a mental emergency and you need to go to the hospital and you can't focus on classes. I lost a family member that was really close to me when I was in elementary school, and I had to cut back on my grades. And so students, when they want to withdraw from courses so that they can attend to these emergencies, they have to wait until the end of the semester before they even know if they're approved to withdraw, which is incredibly unfair. So we want to make sure that they can be notified as soon as possible, and also that can extend to personal emergencies, such as taking care of a family member and supporting your family at home. In addition to that, as I've said before, the academic badging policy, that is at the core of our liberal arts and sciences model as a university, where you can pursue whatever major you want to pursue. It doesn't have to be the one that gets you the best job after school. It's what you enjoy the most. And then you can get badges, you can get certifications that will still allow you to be flexible in the job market and be competitive. And so if worst case scenario you don't find that dream job, you still have competition in the job market. So that will allow you to pursue whatever major you'd like without having to worry so much about getting a job. And if you'd like to expand on that too.
Yeah, so the reason why Clayton's put down so many qualifications of what makes him a great president is because at the end of the day, we always have senators coming up with great ideas. Most of the time, we have too many ideas to actually work on all of them. So I love seeing that one of our competitors has a 20-point platform, one has a 5-point platform. But at the end of the day, we need these people with these great ideas, but we also need the great leaders who are actually qualified to implement these ideas and delegate their responsibilities.
Architect?
No, I think qualifications are definitely something that's important, but at the end of the day, it's people who have original and unique ideas paired with the ability to take in new ideas from the outside and co-opt them into Student Senate and make sure that people can work with Student Senate and tap on Student Senate as a mechanism for change. So one of our great, unique, and original ideas is Holiday on Campus. So it's an event, like I said, with low-income students who get to come out. It'd be a great opportunity for students to get service hours, for students to just do service. It would really pair well into the batching program that Clayton and Clarissa have proposed. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for both students and the local community.
Pauline, did you?
Yeah, will you repeat the question one more time?
Yes, it was, you have many reasons why you are qualified for the platform. What ideas for the university do you plan to implement?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I think qualifications, I would like to stress qualifications. I think it is very important that you have people around the table that have good ideas, but when it comes to getting things done, you need leadership who already know the administration. JJ and I have done that, and we know everybody on campus. I mean, it's that simple. I've been meeting with Dr. Pano and various people that come into our meetings every single week since August. So great ideas are great around the table, and we need that, and we need to hear from the students. It's always important. But when it comes down to it, you have to have qualifications, because qualifications give you the power to know what to do. And without that, and without knowing people and administration and how to make student government active and possible, I mean, you have to have that. And so I think that that's super important, and ideas around the table. Yes, JJ, do you have anything?
Thank you. The next question will go to JJ. JJ, you have 22 points in your platform. How do you plan to adequately address all of the points in your platform without spreading student government too thin?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked this because, as I explained in my opening statement, as Vice President, you're in charge of all the chairs and overseeing them. Because I would be, well, if I was elected Vice President, I would really want to make student government a level playing field with everyone involved. The leadership, it's eye to eye. It's nothing, as a president, Vice wouldn't be on a step stool per se. So it would just be a very open communication between all of my chairs with to get things done. So I mean, I think all 22 points are very doable. I mean, yeah, they would take work, and I would put my chairs to work, but we're here for the people, and I think that needs to be done.
And actually, JJ and I just decided to run 2 weeks ago, and as I think most people watching this and most of you in the audience would see that our campaign is awesome. We're very proud of ourselves, and we don't have a campaign manager. It's just JJ and I, and we've put it together in 2 weeks. So I think we can delegate. We know how to. We're so involved that we can spend our time wisely and efficiently, and we know. I mean, we've been doing this so long that we know how to do it. 22 points is possible because we know the people to make those things possible. We've probably already talked to somebody about them. I mean, we have. So we see everything is reasonable in the specific way we see it, and we know what we can get done because we know what we've done in the past, and that speaks a lot because we've done a lot already.
Thank you. Clayton?
Well, I personally think that 22 points, if you are able to delegate that, that's great, but I know from personal experience in academic affairs that certain projects that you expect at first to be very easy to pursue, such as increasing the credit hour limit from 17 to 18, turn out to actually not be as good for the students as you think it would be, where it would end up financially hurting students just as much as it would help. So I think that although it is nice to have a broad range of ideas, you need to be able to focus on specific ideas and expect anything out of them. So, and just be prepared for anything. So maybe that would be bringing it a little too thin, but maybe it wouldn't. And
yeah, kind of going along with that, we've talked our entire platform over with the provost of the university, so she knows what we're trying to address, and she thinks that most of what we're doing is actually feasible the next year. And additionally to that, I do agree that the leader of Student Senate needs to be someone very qualified with key relationships with faculty and staff, and Clayton does have those relationships. He's been able to work with the HLC, UGC, Faculty Senate, and basically everyone else in the body has his connections already.
Architect?
Yeah, the idea of an egalitarian Senate is very interesting, and I'm sure it sounds very, very nice, but at the end of the day, you have to have some sort of hierarchy to be both efficient and effective. At some point, someone does have to make decisions, and a 22-item platform just isn't reasonable. I would think that people who have been on Senate for 4 years would understand that, because we accomplished maybe 4 or 5 things each year on Senate, 4 or 5 large things. So I think 22 things is unreasonable. I think that 5 is much more clear and concise and get done. And some other things can get done as well as they're brought from senators to the president, vice president, up through chairs and to ExCom.
Thank you. The next question will go to Zach. Zach, please address the environmental sustainability fee and what you as vice president will do to make Truman more sustainable.
Yeah, so I think the environmental sustainability fee is great. And again, to take this time to mention to everybody that, so this is something that's on the ballot this week and is very important. And I think everybody that's here is certainly in support of the environmental sustainability fee and would encourage you to vote yes for that. But yeah, I think that our chair, Adrian Wheeler, has done a wonderful job this year in increasing working to increase the environmental sustainability fee and also the other things that he's done on his committee this year. I think it's important to work and have a good, well-established relationship with the environmental groups on campus, just like it is with any other issue. That is an important thing to do to work towards a better, more sustainable campus for Truman.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think it's important definitely to recognize Molly Turner's individual work on this and how she worked with Adrian Wheeler and the Environmental Affairs Committee to really, I mean, this has been kind of 4 years in the making. We finally built up to it on the ballot this year, and it's something really, really important to campus. Bringing environmental stability to campus is both financially responsible and is good for the environment, obviously. So yeah, it's really good to recognize them. The Student Senate's been in wide support of this. I believe it passed unanimously. So it's definitely something that we should vote yes on. It's something that we should continue to rely on both the Environmental Affairs Committee on Student Senate and, assuming it passes, the actual Environmental Fee Committee that will look at projects to be passed, and they'll submit that to Senate, and they'll be passed through Senate. So I think it's really, really important to vote yes, and important that everyone shows their support for this.
Molly, JJ, your response?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I've done a lot of work on this. This is really passionate to me. And just to quote Parker, who just said to continue to rely on the Environmental Affairs Committee, you know, of course we would do that. We would certainly do that. And 14 out of our 22 points are in that kind of language. Work to put on a university gala, continue to investigate, work to give, advocate, work for assurance, support changes, continue advocation, examine, explore ways, work to increase, advocate for, continue to address. So of course, this is definitely something that we would definitely continue to work on, just as 14 other things that have happened in student government that we are aware of because of our extreme experience on student government. Do you have anything, Judy?
I believe that the environmental sustainability fee, I personally support it, and it's very important for the campus. I know that because, thank you. I know that because working with Adrian and the Environmental Affairs Committee, he has given us the questions to put in our survey that we sent out across the entire student body, which was a very hard survey to put together, but the results were really worth it. And that's how we could help get that sustainability fee put into a proposal in the first place. Also working as a member of the Environmental Campus Organization and as a former bio major, in regards to what I said earlier with keeping lines of communication strong with different organizations that work on these issues, I've been able to do that. I've been able to sit on Monday night, 9:00 p.m. meetings with Adrian and with Chris, and I hope that they can continue to do the hard work that they've done this year, next year in our administration.
All right, thank you. The next question will go to Molly. Molly, many of the candidates have long lists of what they say they are going to accomplish. However, many of them take financial resources, which Truman is very tight on, making the goals much harder to attain. What will you do to meet the campaign promises while working within a budget?
Well, I guess I'll speak really short because JJ has this on lockdown, but One thing that like I said, I've been meeting with Dr. Pano every week since August, so I have a really good understanding of what's happening financially, what's possible, and what the students can do, where we can take that, etc. I also have been offered an internship twice by Donna Lichniger, who is the let me quote this for you, the higher education chairman, and so I talk with her frequently. She's from my hometown, and we have a good relationship, so I'll hand the rest to JJ.
Yes, I'm actually part of one of President Pano's action teams as well. I didn't even list that on my resume, but I'm actually in charge of the budget. And if you guys didn't know, we're going to be $3.5 million in debt in the next 3 years. So because of that, things are going to have to change. But what students can do for that is very minimal. The action team's really going to be taking care of that, and it's Pano's overall decision what's going to happen. So it's one of those things that, I mean, yeah, student government's budget could get cut. I mean, budgets could get cut, but all these can still be done. I think most of our issues on our platform really don't require much money. It's really just overseeing things.
Yeah, and some things we have talked about doing different ways. So one of our university gala, for example, one thing what we've thought to help is to bring in alumni. So that wouldn't just be a getaway to get alumni on campus for donations. So we're trying to explore things.
Parker, Zach, your response.
Yeah, budget neutrality is definitely something that comes up in the Grants and Sponsorships Committee, and when we allocate money and give money to groups on campus. Our platform, Holiday on Campus, is really going to be the only expense on our platform, and it would be under $3,000. So definitely, with Senate's budget most likely to go down to about $21,000, $22,000, would definitely be reasonable. And there would be ways to fundraise and make money back within the student Senate budget if that was needed. I know that other platforms definitely call for galas and other things like that. That would definitely be expensive, and especially doing 22 things might ring up quite the bill.
First of all, I would like to mention that as delegating the members for Pano's action team, I made sure that key people would be key people in regards to financial sustainability on our campus would be in those positions so that they can make the impact that we would like to see as a university. Also, I have personally read a 15,000-word manifesto on our university, so I know that where every single dollar is located, I can't say off the top of my head, but where most of the money is located and allocated in our university in the Higher Learning Commission leadership team. So I feel like I would know where to allocate money in the appropriate places. And if you'd like to expand on anything.
Oh, no, I think mainly the key thing is we need to make sure we know where the money's going and make sure we have key people watching over that. So as Clayton mentioned earlier, he was the one who was supposed to delegate people to the action committees, and he actually put JJ on the committee watching the budget because he knew JJ was a person extremely qualified to do so. So we want to make sure we have people watching over the budget and make sure we can still address the needs of our student population at the same time.
Funny we talk so much about President Pano's action plans because that is what the next question refers to. Parker, how do you plan to have student government further President Pano's action plans outlined in his State of the University address, January 2015?
Yes. So currently students are involved in many action plans in all realms of President Pano's action plan. Senate actually this past semester passed a resolution in support of President Pano's action plan. So most of the work will actually happen within those action plan committees. I would imagine that things are going to come out of those committees that Student Senate can help with. But beyond that, this is going to be very much driven by President Pano, and he's welcome to co-opt us into that and look to us for support in that. But most of the original ideas and the work can be done within those committees.
Yeah, to echo that as well, I think that that would kind of be an issue that would be addressed by whoever once they are elected. The president and vice president have weekly meetings scheduled with President Pano, so that would be something that you would work with him, and that would come, like Parker said, more from him, and we would kind of do what he needed to advocate for that as whoever gets elected.
JJ, your response.
I think Zach hit the nail on the head when he said, or head on the nail, I don't know, whichever that metaphor is. But pretty much what he said is meeting with President Pano, because this is his action plan. I mean, this is his action teams. He put these together. It's his thing. So, I mean, if he needs us to get student government involved, we will, but there's already students on all of these action teams. Me, almost everyone sitting up here, I know both of you too. I mean, or on these action teams. 5 of them are academic based, so dealing with the values of the institution, just what our vision is, and then the last one is with money. So.
Yeah, and what's really cool, I was actually added to an action committee late, and I haven't been able to attend, but they still send out notes and meetings and homework. Because I've had a scheduling conflict every single time since my time didn't work. And this is a great way to see students working on these committees. And anything we can do to further that would be great.
Clayton Clarkson.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually on an action team committee, as we said earlier. I'm on the one that redefines what liberal arts and sciences is. And I think it's kind of funny that Parker and Zach had this question addressed to them, but they were, excuse me, 2 of the members on the student body who declined to be part of the action team. So that's just something that strikes me as a little bit odd. Regardless, though, what it comes down to, these teams started meeting about halfway through second semester. And what happens is we have reports to give to the university around August. So by the time that we reach the new semester, these teams will be done being used for the time being. What we have to do as Student Senate then is to encourage the body to still get interested in these issues, still get interested in seeing how we can save our university, and readdress what did we think actually happened with the LAS committee, what do we think of their proposed solutions.
All right, thank you. And the final question during the segment of the debate will go to Vice Presidential candidate Clarissa Todd. Clarissa, what are your views regarding gender-neutral housing? And what will you do in your administration in order to implement this program?
Wow, I get no break to breathe. Okay, so I'm entirely for open housing, as we discussed earlier. I think it's something awesome, and I commend the work of Zach's committee this entire year, and Jesse, who's also in the audience. They've done fantastic work this year, and it was really impressive to see the Board of Governors meeting. So I think our administration, if we are elected, will continue to push this effort forward. What we need to do is, because it's already been shot down by the Board of Governors, is re-show student interest in it. In order to do this, we have to reach out to key groups, make sure they still are interested in pursuing it further, and get more interest in the body, keep passing resolutions saying this is something we need to change.
Yeah, and I would like to say in regards to the Board of Governors, I think that one thing that I really would like to see is not just allowing resolution to slowly pass up to the Board of Governors, but to reach out to them directly. As the head, as the top decision makers, we need to be able to reach out to those members directly and say, we want this done. So I would like to have an open line with the Board of Directors themselves to make sure that these projects get done and that they are brought to their attention without ignoring something for 2 years or 1 year, as they did with the previous open housing policy idea, which was very unfair to do, and we want to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Well, GJ, your response.
Yeah, I'm actually a huge supporter of this. A lot of my really great friends would be positively affected by this. So right now, I have in front of me I have a Senate Bill number 237, House Bill 104, House Bill 1339, and House Bill 1338, which are all could potentially directly affect these kinds of issues on campus that we want to fix. So basically, what we would do to do this is all these are in different places right now in Missouri government. And I just got off the phone a few minutes before with one of my friends who's working right now and told me exactly where each of these things are at in the committees, if they've even reached that point, where they're at. And I think I have such a good relationship with the higher education chairman, Donna Lichniger. I'm going to be talking to her a lot about this because this is so important to me. And so we're going to keep our eye on these. Some of these things, some of these things aren't ready, so.
Thank you. Yeah, so